Hello and welcome to the UK Maternal Mental Health Awareness Week, and I'm really delighted today to be joined by East London Mother and Baby Unit, where we'll be talking to lovely Ella and Naomi about what a Mother and Baby Unit is like. On a personal note, this is a really lovely thing for me to do because 11 years ago I was admitted to a Mother and Baby Unit in Nottingham, a fair few hundred miles away from where I live, with my little boy Joe when I had postpartum psychosis. I had no idea what I was going into or what a Mother and Baby Unit was like, but my goodness was I so pleased to be admitted because it ultimately saved my life. And it was one of the most lovely places to be in with my son, where I recovered, and they're really wonderful, warm, caring places where you can recover with your baby. So I just wanted to kind of give a little overview of that, and I'd really like to hand over to Ella and Naomi. Say thank you so much for giving up your time doing this. And I saw you pop up on Instagram when we were preparing for the Maternal Mental Health Awareness Week. I messaged Ella and said, I would really love if we could do something about an MBU, because we get so many questions from mums and families about what mother and babies are like, where are they, how do you become admitted, do you go with your baby, what's the average stay, this, that and the other. And I thought it'd be really nice if we put some friendly faces to the name of the unit, and do a little tour of the unit so people could see what they're like. And this can be used as a resource when people are told they might be admitted. They can watch this video or share it with their friends and family to say, this is where I'm going to be going and this is going to help my recovery. And also, with the real kind of positive thing that you'll see from this is that recovery will happen even if you do have a severe perinatal mental illness, and that it can happen, you can recover with the support of something like a mother and baby unit. But that's my spiel. I'll hand over to Ella and Naomi now with a lovely thank you. So thanks, ladies.
No problem. Thanks, Eve. So, hi everyone, I'm Ella. I'm the ward manager for East London Mother and Baby Unit.
And I'm Naomi. I'm the lead nursery nurse for the Mother and Baby Unit in East London.
So we've got a little presentation just to show you guys. So you can see this, Eve, yeah? So we are East London Mother and Baby Unit. We are one of 19 mother and baby units in the UK, and there's 3 in London. So we are commissioned by NHS England. So we accept women from all over the country. And you can see on this map here, these are actually where the available beds are currently. So our MBU is 12 bedded. I think most of the MBUs are around 10, 12 beds, some of you a bit smaller.
They vary.
They vary, yeah. And the aim of a mother and baby unit is to keep mother and baby together when mum is suffering from a moderate to severe mental illness. It could be an illness which is, come on during labour or postpartum, but it could also be something that a woman already has, and having a baby has maybe increased her symptoms or she's relapsed. We also admit women prophylactically, so if you're stable in your mental illness but you are pregnant, you may be at risk of relapse during that time, so you could come to an MBU, make sure that you're getting support, you're getting enough sleep, which is so important, as you guys know. And it stops women from relapsing, which is really positive and beneficial for women.
So yeah, we're based in Homerton in East London, and like Ella said, that we have 12 beds. So that's 12 beds for mums and babies. We're a specialist unit, and we support mums with like various mental health difficulties. And again, like this, if it's pre-existing or has just come on in terms of the onset of having baby, we on our site we have quite various services, and we're quite multi-skilled, and we have like quite a multidisciplinary team approach as well. So we're quite lucky to have like the hospital just next door as well, where we have like paediatric services, midwifery services, close health visiting links as well. So we have quite a lot of support in terms of like local GP practices and so forth, which actually does help, especially if we have prophylactic missions where mums are pregnant, or postnatally as well, in terms of doing those checks on babies and mums, just in ensuring that there's still that continuity of care as well.
And actually, even today, we've one of our mums has just gone up to the maternity unit for her induction, which is so handy because we are literally 2 minutes away. So it's all action today.
We haven't had a birth on the ward yet, but
but I think as well, so sometimes people ask, if someone's pregnant on an MBU, do the staff go up during the labour? And we do, depending on the mum's wishes,
needs.
Yeah, so we're very much, it's quite intensive support, which is sometimes needed for multi reasons, but sometimes it's to do with risk, or just her treatment plan. So these images we've taken from our Instagram, common kind of perinatal mental health conditions. Most people know about postnatal depression. I think postpartum psychosis is quite common on our ward. I think just because of the level of risk that can be associated with it. Sometimes women do need to come into hospital. So we see a lot of women who recover from postpartum psychosis, as well as the other illnesses, anxiety, postnatal depression. And I think, sorry.
No,
I
was going to say
we're getting involved.
Yeah, there's more awareness, around perinatal mental health, and there's lots more links. There's a lot more research as well in terms of like how common such issues are. I think genuinely after the birth of baby, there's a lot of emotions. There's a lot of feelings that women do feel, but just in some circumstances I see it as women might need that little bit extra support, and a care package, and just support them through it. And this is ranging from women with not even having any history of mental health. So again, the benefits of the mother and baby unit. So meet the team. We, like we said before, we're quite a multi-skilled team on the ward. So we have a mixture of nursery nurses who work day and night shifts. We have nurses who, again, work day and night shifts. You have the consultant psychiatrists. You have myself, but I'm one of the nursery nurses too. So basically with the nursery nurses, there's an individualized care plan for babies in terms of their health and development, and looking at their holistic needs moving forward, and how to support mum with that bond and attachment with their baby. So whether it's identifying specific activities, or even how can I put it, demonstrating to mum in terms of caring for her baby, because sometimes mums might need support in just remembering things, or guidance, or advice, and so we have nursery nurses, specialist nursery nurses. We have social therapists who are amazing, because I think they wear many hats on the ward, so they would support in many different areas, again, whether that's observations, or caring for babies, or caring for mums individually. And our nurses, they're on the ward as well, and again they have a so we also have like an allocation where nurses will, have individualized care plans for the mums on the unit. So, they get to know the mums on a one-to-one personal level, and they support them through their treatment plan alongside the consultant. So whether that's, hygiene needs, or things like which are quite basic, or maybe they love to cook, and it's just identifying these things to help them through that recovery period as well. So this is the ward. This is the day area. It is a bit messy, but it's quite nice to actually see a picture when the ward's kind of just been used.
Yeah, we didn't tidy up. We just left it how it is.
So it's quite, we try and make the environment as homely as possible, just being mindful that, because we are a hospital, obviously, we have young babies, we have like infection control policies as well to be mindful of, but we try and make it as homely as possible and inclusive environment for the babies as well. This is like just the viewpoint of our communal area.
That's
you could
actually
see.
me walking up that
Oh, is
corridor.
that me? Oh,
following that.
yeah. And so you have the office. The office is located like in the middle of the ward, so it's kind of like the hub where you can see all areas as well. So yeah.
Yeah, and
the bedroom.
The bedrooms. So the bedrooms are kind of from the left-hand side. That first door, the bedrooms go all the way around like a big kind of L. They've all got ensuite, so they've got a shower, a toilet, a wash basin, and then in the actual room, a cot, a baby changing table.
Yeah.
And mums can bring in, things from home that will make it a bit more comfortable for them. Pillows, duvet covers, photos. We really encourage that. I think this photo as well was taken by one of our mums who had I think she just left.
Yeah.
And she
just packed up her stuff and then she took a picture as a reminder, didn't she?
Yeah. And the rooms they're cleaned every day, so baby bath area.
Yeah.
So we've got 2 basins, and there's a window which our nursing office looks out onto, so that staff can observe and support mums if they need any help.
So mums don't have to bend down or use a bathing facility. These baths are specifically designed for babies from birth to 1 year old on the ward. With the taps as well, the hot temperature directly comes out at 37 degrees, so you don't necessarily have to add cold water necessarily to the water, but it's made to be easier for mums to be able to bath baby as well, and to be able to gain access to staff support as and when needed. Dining area. So this is our dining area. So we kind of encourage mums to kind of make it their own. So there is a stereo, there is a computer, there is like bookshelves, and there is like, for example, games that mums might have as well in that area, as well as they would sit there amongst peers and have their meals. We have an ADL kitchen on the ward where we do encourage mums, if they want to cook, and they could be cooking foods for baby as well on the ward as well. So we encourage this. There's a dishwasher. They have their own fridge, which you can't quite see. It's a bit of a blind spot, but where mum can use the facilities here as well.
Yeah. Our sensory room it's currently being refurbished, but these are the type of things that we have. So lots of lights, kind of touch stimulation. The room gets used for some groups as well, which we'll talk about in the next couple of slides. It's just a nice place as well, so if someone might be feeling a little bit distressed and needs like a quiet area, with or without baby, they can come here and just kind of relax. So in our groups and the therapies that we run, I love this picture because I remember just the sound of the babies and like everyone was singing, and it was really lovely.
So you're holding the
yeah, there I am with my mask. So the groups, songs and stories, obviously encouraging mums to talk to baby. Sometimes when women are on the MBU, it might be quite hard, especially if you're suffering from your own kind of personal issues, to be able to still engage with your baby. So really kind of simple but important groups
beneficial to baby's development as well as giving mum guidance and support around that development milestone and expectations, and supporting her to still be involved with baby in terms of that development, so when mums do recover, the guilt I would like to think that it wouldn't impact the guilt as much, because you know, they've been with baby throughout that recovery period, so they've still been able to do activities with baby, still encouraged to you know, be involved in baby's development. Like we have groups like Adjusting to Motherhood, which is normally run by the midwife and a psychologist, and it's kind of just having discussions around motherhood and, you know, in a group setting, and feelings linked to that, and, you know, giving ideas, and it's a space for mums to have that discussion with their babies about their feelings. We also have Tree of Life group, again, is another form of kind of like a therapy based group, but it's not as formal. It's more of like, you know, more drawing, more discussions around, you know, lives, or, you know, social factors, you know, in life, to get an idea of how to support mums, and they can talk about that within a group if they want to, or if they don't. And then we have arts and crafts, and there is like an art therapy group as well, but there is also additional like arts and crafts. And, you know, some mums might not like to be involved in the groups to do arts and crafts, so sometimes they have access to this, and they can do this in their room, or they can do it on other parts of the ward. They don't necessarily have to be a part of a group to have access to this. And we've got cooking, so we encourage cooking as much as possible. It's also nice for the staff when the mums like to cook for the whole ward. But generally, jokes aside, it kind of helps mums as well in terms of that transition period, and kind of when mums start, you know, recovering and preparing to get back home. It helps with like day-to-day routines, and, you know, adjusting to like daily living. So it's quite beneficial. And we also have a weekly community meeting where mums' voices, they're heard all the time, but in the community meeting, you know, it's like a discussion with all the staff. So we do try and get as much professionals, whether, you know, it might be the midwife comes over from the hospital, the consultant, you know, comes in, and mums can share their views about the ward. So it could be something like they want more dishwashing tablets, or dishwasher tablets, for example, or, you know, things to make their stay on the ward more comfortable. But the community meeting is for everyone to come together and have discussions about things that they want to share, or things that concern them on the ward.
Yeah. Other groups that we've got a dance and movement specialist that comes in once a week, which I love watching, because she's got loads of like feathers, and obviously very kind of, what's the word?
Extravagant.
Yeah, it's extravagant. Like ribbons, and it's just lovely to watch. I think it's just very expressionate. That's the word. Yeah. Mindfulness. So just, you know, relaxation techniques, calm. I think the environment is calm anyhow, but sometimes you need a group just to kind of
for self
mindfulness. Baby massage is a group that the nursery nurses run once a week, and it's a really good group. Lots of mums like to attend it as well.
Attachment and bonding benefits, you know, and just links to that intimacy and one-to-one time with babies on the ward for the mums as well. So it can be quite therapeutic, not just for the baby, but also for the mum. There's like the infant hazard prevention, so we do this once a month, where we have like discussions about, you know, hazard prevention around infants. So it could be things like plug sockets. We have discussions, so quite basics, just to kind of get mums thinking about that, in terms of, again, which will help support them with that transition when leaving the hospital.
I think so. The reason we started the infant hazard prevention group as well was because a lot of mums, we noticed if a baby started to maybe start weaning, and lots of babies, they choke when they're feeding. It's normal, but especially if you've got mental health, you may not at the time know what to do in that circumstance. So we wanted to empower the mums, just with really basic kind of tools from like the Lullaby Trust, we talk about co-sleeping a lot, just basic kind of
like
infant hazard,
infant
car
hazard
seats.
prevention, hazards, car seats.
How to correctly put a car seat on a baby.
They can be difficult for everyone.
Yeah. Even I have trouble putting prams up. You know, some prams when they're folded.
Oh yeah.
It's just a nightmare. So just, you know, empowering mums, especially if you've got a lady who maybe hasn't got family or much support in the community. I think coming to an MBU is really beneficial to them.
And
for everyone.
Also in terms of, again, looking at the milestones for babies. So part of those discussions that we do have in infant hazard prevention is like age appropriate toys, and you know, some things that people don't necessarily would really think about or come to mind. So this is just like a group session to also have those discussions. And
partners group, we run kind of jointly with the community perinatal team for partners, whether that's a dad, whether that's the same-sex couple, anyone is welcome to join, and it's just a support for them, and they can talk to one of the kind of mental health professionals. Sometimes it's, you know, just education about their partner's diagnosis, maybe, or what they can do to support them, but also how they're feeling
and supporting themselves.
And then every week all the mums will have a weekly ward round where they are seen by the consultant, as well as MDT members, psychologists, OTs, and feedback is given from the nurses, the nursery nurses. We invite kind of community professionals, so if you've got a social worker, if you've got a perinatal nurse, health visitor, to kind of collaborate the care, so it's not all just left to us, but so that the MBU
helps with that transition.
Transition them back to home, like during their recovery.
And the care package, so it informs their care package in the community, so mums don't feel that they've just, now that they're being discharged, that's it. There is so much more that comes following being discharged. You know, there's still support available and there's still links within the community. So I guess War Round also helps just form that, and to have a tighter approach to supporting mum.
Yeah, and in the ward round as well, medication is reviewed if you're on medication, if there's any therapies, etc.
That's
home leave and everything really. So we just put these photos in to show kind of previous years where we've had our annual summer barbecue and Christmas party, and what's lovely about these is we invite all the mums from the last year. So we get a few babies that have obviously grown when they were with us. They might have been 2 months, and then they come back a year later, and it's just really nice to see.
And we have them all running around, the garden or the ward, and we're trying to chase them. But it's lovely to see as well in terms of mum's recovery, and it hasn't just stopped there, and like how different mums looks as well. So it makes it's also a nice time for staff as well, because staff get to see what they were a part of, and also can share that joy with mums as well. So as you can see, for me, because I work here, I can see that you wouldn't necessarily, apart from the mums who are holding the babies, but you wouldn't necessarily could really tell the difference between the staff and the mums, apart from those who are wearing badges. But which is quite like
and we've got a
positive.
We've got a dad in there as well.
Oh yeah. We do encourage dads as well to come back as well with, when this was pre-COVID, just to let everyone know this was definitely pre-COVID. So we're hoping, our aim and objective is to hopefully get back to that as well.
So we hope you enjoyed our tour of East London Mother and Baby Unit. We've just put our kind of social media tags there. That's our address, our number, and just to say, if you are going through any difficulties, you're not alone, and if you come to an MBU, we are very supportive and we're by your side every step of the way. I'm going to stop sharing now.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Actually, I felt really emotional. You can probably tell looking at this, because I think I credit the MBU, for giving me my life back, and when I had Joe, one of the reasons MBU is so wonderful, and I know you will identify this, because I've now met women who experienced what I did. I was really scared of my baby and scared of being on my own with him, and so the idea of going into a unit at the beginning, where my baby's going to be in my room with me in a cot, I was going to be doing things with him. I remember feeling so comforted when I went in, and the staff nurse kind of giving me a cuddle and saying, "We're going to help you, Eve. You are going to leave here on the path to recovery." And as the theme for this year's Awareness Week is Journeys to Recovery, and I think the thing that really got me is when you got to your slide, Ella, that talked about the different things that you do in the unit. So, as you can see, the unit is a really warm and comforting place, which I had never expected. When I went into one, I had no idea what one would look like, and it's a respectful place and respectful space as well. But I think seeing all the different things we have, so this year we've definitely learned over the year that people's journeys to recovery, especially because of COVID as well, have looked a bit different to how they might previously have looked. And we've definitely learned about how art, craft, dance, movement therapy and things can all contribute alongside medication and therapies, all the different things that you talked about, and the different groups and stuff that you run, how they can kind of all work together. And like you said, Naomi, you find what your comfortable area is in terms of recovery. One bit might not be for you, another bit might be. And like you, as a unit, and I know this is, I talked to a lot of different units over the country, the model that you've got, there's lots of parts of it are shared in other units as well, and women can pick up those things and do those things with their baby and help them on the road to recovery. I definitely found that medication, I had EMDR therapy, through the unit, and doing some writing, something that I'd never thought of before, really helped me. And I know that the women that I talk to and the women that you deal with, and we talk to the thousands of women across the country and the world who experience these illnesses, are finding their journey to recovery in their own way. And I just think it's so enlightening, and the passion behind getting a unit to be a comfortable place for women to go to at a time when you feel like nature's played a terrible trick on you, and you just want somewhere to go that is going to look after you, and where you feel safe and cared and looked after. And I think as well, when you're going into a unit, you don't know what it's going to look like, and you have that fear that your baby's going to be taken away. You probably hear that loads. That's what we still hear loads. Am I going to be looked after? Am I going to be helped? What's it going to be like? And it is almost like a home away from home, isn't it? I just want to thank you for just because I think so many women and families will look at this and go, oh, we're understanding what the woman in our life is going to be going into with the baby, and that she is as important as the baby. Lots of people say healthy baby is what's most important. No, actually we need a healthy mum, don't we? We need a healthy mum as well, and all of these things you need both.
But the funny thing is, one thing that we did actually forget to mention is like the mums, that part of the ideology of the ward as well is like the mums are the patients, and babies are considered as guests. So in saying that, like, in terms of what you were saying, it's our aim and objective to get mum well, through that recovery, but to, for her to do it with her baby, so she doesn't feel like she's missed out any moments of her baby growing as well, and they're not separated, and that's the idea of having a mother and baby unit.
And it obviously our tour is showing, how lovely it is, but there are some restrictions on MBUs because it is a mental health ward. So, for example, contraband items you're not allowed to have. Lighters, you're not allowed to have something that you could use to harm yourself, basically. And we do check. We do nominal checks every half an hour, so we check exactly where you are, where your baby is, and your baby or yourself, you might be on slightly enhanced observations, so we can just make sure that you're okay, but all in this environment. So instead of, I think when people think about mental health wards, everybody, unless you've been to one or worked on one, has a preconceived idea of what they're like, and it's not like that. So hopefully by seeing the fact that they've got bedrooms, you're not like, it's not like dormitories where you're all like laying together like back in the the olden days. We've come a long way. The mental health act as well. There's lots of positive things about coming into hospital. So it's not all negative, but we do understand that women probably don't want to come into hospital, and it could be really scary. So we're trained to support. But yeah,
I was going to say, Ella, so some of the questions that we get come through when women contact us say, it's been broached with me, I might go to an MBU, or we have a partner saying, it's been broached that, this could happen. People say, how long will I go for? Do I have to be sectioned? That kind of thing. Is my partner allowed to come and visit me? Can people stay over? They're the kind of questions that we get, because obviously people are thinking, I'm going away from my normality at a time when everything seems really, really weird. So is there it's different, but is there an average stay time? Do you have to be sectioned before you come in? Can you go voluntarily? How can you be referred to an MBU? I know it's different, lots of different things across the UK, but just to kind of make
so average stay is 6 to 8 weeks. Can be shorter, can be a little bit longer. We do allow visitors, so because of COVID, we currently have had to restrict it to just one visitor per person, once a day, and they have to be booked in. But prior to that, partners could come onto the ward, and all MBUs normally allow that. We don't allow partners to stay over. Some MBUs do, don't they? Yeah. And we also we don't do parenting assessments on our mother and baby unit. Some do. So Coomwood in West London do parenting assessments. In terms of admission, so you definitely don't have to be sectioned to come onto the ward. We have informal women who are voluntary coming in. Sometimes you may have been sectioned prior to coming in, or sometimes you may end up being sectioned, but it's only to kind of keep you safe, if it is that route. What else? I think,
and I think again just a lot of fear around like children's services as well, and I guess again just being mindful, because we are a hospital and this is happening. Just informing like community-based, like the health visitor and so forth. Sometimes like that does happen in some cases where social care are informed, and if they are, it's I would just like to say, because a lot of moms do panic around that, and and so do partners and family members, but the reason behind is again to make sure that all that support is there in terms of that support network. It could be where I'm not trying to say that this happens all the time, but it could be where you might have a family support worker that's allocated to take you to activities in children's centres, for example. But this all stems from an initial referral to children's services, or they might look at your support package, or finances. It's quite broad in terms of what support social care can offer. And I think people mainly only hear the negative sides of situations, and they're like the extreme, but in mental health, for example, it's just again to keep baby safe, you safe, but also to make sure that support package is in place, and for both you and baby when you leave. So it might be that you might have more days of respite, and it's how social care can fit into supporting you with that respite when you leave hospital. It could be little things, but everyone's need and care plan is individual and different within its own right, and every mum here is different, and diagnoses are different. So I don't know if that's any consolation in terms of social care, but just let it's not a negative necessarily.
And to add as well, like we work with women who might be having really, really distressing thoughts. Sometimes it's they might have a thought to harm their baby, but it's something that we hear a lot, and we don't judge people on those thoughts. It's good to talk about it, but staff aren't judgmental, and we are here to support.
I think this is so contagious. I I had a lady who came to mother and baby groups with me after I left the unit and when I came back to London, because I was kind of really nervous of being on my own. And I always say to people, having support from the people you've just discussed, can be an incredibly positive thing. And actually, people do talk about that afterwards. That just kind of came into what essentially from my last question on this was, when women say, well, I'm going to go to an MBU, when I leave though, is that me on my own? What happens when I wave bye-bye to the unit? Is it, am I kind of on my own, or is there outpatient care or that kind of thing? I wonder if you could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so do you want to go in?
No, I was looking at you.
So I think what's really, really positive is how perinatal services have expanded recently within the NHS. And if a mum is admitted to us and she doesn't have a perinatal community team, we would refer to her locality. So she would be under a team, and then depending on how old baby is,
specialised team.
Yeah, so perinatal community teams are nurses, social workers, nursery nurses, support workers doing our job but in the community to support you. And I've lost my train of thought.
Oh, sorry. So depending on baby's age as well. So there is like an expansion coming in terms of like perinatal services are expanded from 1 year postnatal up to 2 years. So before it was up to 1 year. So that is within their plan, and some of the perinatal services started doing that in terms of infant psychotherapy in the community and stuff like that. So again, like Ella was saying, that it's mimicking some of the things on the ward, but there is a plan for expansion, and some of it has already started. But again, it doesn't mean if your baby's over 1 when you are discharged, there's no support in the community. If there isn't a referral to them, there's other mental health services like CMHT.
And we don't discharge women without any support. So you have to have at least some kind of mental health support in the community. Otherwise, we kind of keep you for a little bit longer, just to make sure that you are safeguarded when you leave and go home, because it is quite intense support on the MBU, and we don't want women to go home and then relapse or come back in, so we don't want to set women up to fail. Basically, you need to have the support in place, and it's not up to the mum, it's up to the professionals to get that in place. So definitely there's lots of contingency plans, and as well, if you're discharged from us, you can still call us afterwards as well. We give you like a discharge summary with lots of information on coping skills. Even if you're going on leave, say you've got weekend leave, we give you a care plan, what to look out for any relapse triggers, and we give a copy of that to whoever you're going home with as well, maybe your partner, with the ward number, what to do in an emergency, etc. And if you are going on leave, we don't fill your bed, so if you needed to come back during the Saturday night, you just come straight back and we could like reassess you.
This do you know what? Because I had to remember having home leave, and I can remember kind of saying, "Will my bed still be here for me if I need to come back in?" And it was. And then when I was discharged from the unit, I had a lovely community psychiatric nurse called Julia who came to see me every day. And then because I went to a unit out of my locality, I remember feeling the relief, of knowing that, like exactly you described, I hadn't been forgotten about. I had outpatient care and stuff with connections to the unit, and I'm really friendly with my nurses and stuff now who looked after me all that time ago. And I just think it's so nice to be talking to you, because you can see the passion and care that you two have there, which is felt with across the whole team, I know, and that you really have mums, families and babies at your core, and wanting to help them and support them in this next stage of their life. And I think all the different things we've seen today, and your really helpful and friendly explanations of how things work, I think is going to be a real comfort to people, actually. I think the Awareness Week, it filled a gap that was there, because it used to be until a couple of years ago, no one spoke about perinatal mental illness, you know, and then we had you know, EastEnders with the postpartum psychosis storyline, you know, that I was really lucky to work on, you know, comic relief looking at things, you know, women bravely sharing their stories, and then people like you saying, this is our service, this is what we do to help you, this is how everything can tie together, can knit together to create that journey to recovery. And I just think it's so wonderful to have done this session with you today, which I think will be a real actual positive talk with women and families. But actually, I think a lot of healthcare professionals will find this very helpful. You know, we do get comments from healthcare professionals who maybe haven't been to a unit, aren't aware of, you know, of the structure of units, where they're based and what happens. And I think it'll be a really good kind of tool for them to look at as well, to be able to say to women, you know, as GP, you know, appointments, you know, start going back to normal, or as a tool to say, actually, there's this video I can send to you, you know, that you might be helpful to look at. I think this will be a really helpful tool for everyone to see. And I wanted to thank you for joining us for it, because it's just been wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Oh no, the pleasure is all ours. We've wanted to do something like this for a little while, and this is year 5 of the week. And I think, you know, we tried to cover lots of different bases, from the mild, moderate to severe, and at what points can you get help, and what does that help look like. And you know, it can be a really scary time for women and families, and I think this shows that actually during that time there are people there to guide you through, to help you, and that they are, you know, that you are a priority, you know, to them, as you know, have so wonderfully pointed out. And I definitely felt that when I was cared for and looked after, and it really fills my heart genuinely to see that, you know, that you've got that at your core, and that what you're describing in your MBU is fulfilled by the other MBUs as well across the country. So we might talk about East London MBU, but you know, from my experience in the MBUs that I go to, everything you said here today, you know, is cross-referencing, you know, the RAP that are across the UK. So thank you very much. Thank you.
That's okay. No, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.